Welcome back to the class, everyone. We are in the final match of the week. We've been having kind of a rough week. We lost our first two matches. They were up against pretty good opponents. Bro, we just kind of got our butt kicked. And then Ink, we also just made some bad decisions that one. Both of them got away with the win. Much deserved. They weren't, flukes to those players' abilities or anything like that. But now we're up against Nixer. And Nixer, we're kind of in the toilet bowl, so we both haven't been doing super hot this week, but he does again look like a good player. I mean, we did start at the beginning of this week in the top, I want to say 300 or 400. So the grouping of players, even a loser's bracket, is probably going to be pretty decent. Or at least that's what I'm going to tell myself to make myself feel better. But before we get into the actual match to show what we're doing on offense and defense in the battles, let's go ahead and look at rosters. So he's only got 138 more relic levels than us, and this has been kind of a fun interaction to see. Our very first match, our opponent had 300 more relic levels than us. The second one, he only had 200, and now our last guy only has 138. So it is progressively going down, and that is kind of what CG had intended with the matchmaking, is that, if you keep losing, things should get progressively easier, but, whatever. Let's look at some other metrics here. So as far as Omicrons go, we have a slight advantage. He only has 5, we have 7. It looks like we have the dash one, which I honestly think has fallen pretty far in value, but that's a different story. And we also have the first order one, which is pretty new. I think it's pretty good. Modding wise, again, things are pretty close in margins. We haven't beat on the plus 25s. We are tied in the plus 20s down to the mod, which that doesn't always happen. And then he's got us beat by a fair margin in the 15s. So Omicrons, we have a slight advantage. Mods are pretty much the same. And then he's got a pretty good relic advantage. And then on top of all that, he has Ray. But I actually have started working on Ray. I kind of made that commitment, I guess you could say, sometime last night, I believe. So into the actual match, and this guy, he has a little bit more of a heavy offensive strategy. So typically what I do in my planning is I try to match what my opponent is doing to the point where that I have an advantage. Doesn't always work out that way, but here we are. So this is his defense. This is fairly similar to what he was placing before. The Darth Revan team didn't really exist. It got kind of combed into this Maul team. Maul team is, I don't like Maul lead, but actually, out of all the characters here, Maul lead is the best. What really more so takes me off is when people do like Maul led Darth Revan, and I know that that's good at stopping troopers, but that's like all it does. But we don't need to get into that right now. Gas is going to actually be very problematic. So my go-to gas counter CLS, and I placed him on defense, and so I have nothing for that. I was not thinking that through when I was placing my defense. I didn't. Maybe I need to be more elaborate with that. I don't know. Then top wall is kind of bad. Actually, it's not that bad. So there's a dash team that looks pretty decent. He's got Bam absorbed by the Maul team. I do like the split, actually. Give Dash, Queel, and IG, and then throw Bam over here with Maul. Like, that's a fair way of doing things. Lord Vader's over here. We're actually using the same Lord Vader comp, and I think this is even the same Datacron. I believe this is if they get so many debuffs, they reduce their cooldown. So that actually shuts down pretty hard the Bounty Hunter comp. And we both have that on, so we're probably just going to call out each other's SLKRs and call it a day. So my defense is a little bit harder. Up top, I took out my dash team just because it had a lot of low gear characters in it, and it was, if I'm trying to make a harder defense, that's kind of was the first one on the chopping block. Down below, we do have Lord Vader without Maul. That way, Maul gets to run his own team. No Bam, but we do have the fast Droidica lineup. So actually, our defense is really similar in a lot of places. I do run Old Ben with our Starkiller specifically because in the back, we've got JMK, JML, and C Malik. So, like I said, a lot harder on defense, and I really should have done something because I just don't know what I have for gas. Like, I think we might just have to settle for like a really good 2-shot, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to there. But let's go ahead and cross that bridge. All right, so here come the battles that we've been looking forward to. So there are a few things that I'm a little bit worried about, primarily this gas team. So we're going to go ahead and tackle his Starkiller team first. I think this battle is going to be pretty simple. They do not land this tenacity down onto B2. That's pretty huge. And then we land straight out the gate. We land all 5 debuffs. This is very good. That gets the turn meter going. We're able to resist everything off of Mara, or rather, we didn't have tenacity down in B2, so he got to go. And then from here, we were really just able to take control. This is really, really easy. Even, I don't think Starkiller being necessarily R5 really here made a huge difference, just because you can see that we have mass control here. And one of the really nice things is they also have Scav Ray, which means once Mara eats it, which he's just about to, there is now no revive. So we don't have anything to worry about. We just go ahead and take out Palp just because he's kind of an easy kill. They do get to flip the debuffs on us, which that's not super great, but at the same time, as you can see, not the end of the world. Starkiller gets his one hit, and then from there, we're able to work him down. Buff immunity on everyone pretty much renders Kenobi more or less useless. I mean, he already burned his cleanse. Not a whole lot more he has, and then, yeah, that's really all she wrote. So, very, very easy battle there. And now, we have to rip the band off. We have to tackle gas, and we have to do something. I looked over everything in my kit. This is the best option. Unfortunately, Arc ripped the Foresight off of Kenobi instantly. By the time we get the big hit for Jedi Anakin, gas is still standing. This is not going as well as I would like it to. This is just the best option we had. Obviously a one-shot would have been nice, but at this point, I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, we're probably going to have to go for a two-shot. There's no way we're going to survive after gas stands back up. So let's just cut our losses here, and let's go ahead and trigger 5 sacrifice, so that when we come back, at least 5s isn't there. So we get 5s out of there, and now I'm like, okay, so we might as well just keep trying, and we get some pretty big hits on Rex. We take him out, even with the 5 sacrifice, and yep, that's pretty much all we got out of that one was them. So we come back in now, we got Bam, and I'm like, okay, so they don't have 5s, we don't have 5s to worry about. We also don't have Rex and his speed and his Annihilate to worry about. So this, I wonder how well the damage immunity holds up here. So we go ahead and take in Bam. We didn't really have him slotted to be anything else. He's typically on defense. We make gas sit rather quickly. The issue is this team just doesn't. This team doesn't have like very precise. Like CLS will do this real nice, where CLS will have very precise damage of when he wants to hit and how he wants to hit. Bam is not like that. You have to wait until the birds get up there and then wait until they get out, and it's not super great. I mean, we're able to make gas sit rather quickly a second time around, which that is nice, even with our Gear 12 IG about to eat it there. Ultimately does it. We're able to kind of keep giving everyone protection back up, health up. He goes right after Nest, which is really great because Nest counters him twice. That gives our whole team turn meter. And now we can stun him because he's not just going to constantly cleanse stuff on us. That was really nice. I wanted to get Tenacity down, didn't quite land it. I guess that wasn't going to happen because we couldn't crit him. But now, I mean, even if things go south, I think Gas just does eventually die, which he does. So that was really nice. I was actually, as much as I don't like having to do 2 shots, especially for a battle that I thought was going to be an efficiency fight, that was really, really nice. So we do need to come in and take out his Darth Revan right now. And this is a pretty fast Darth Revan. Like, I think we outspeed them by maybe 5. It was like a 350 Darth Revan with Talon. No Basilisk on Fallen, and that actually isn't like a huge deal for troopers. Like, troopers run right over Basilisk on Fallen. In fact, the rest of this team actually kind of makes things more complicated. Marauder is a pain in the butt because once we start getting our buffs going, he just becomes invincible. We can't hit Talon. We have to be very careful when we do go after Malik eventually. HK stopped what's-his-face from stomping, so yeah, so Marauder's big hit completely took away a stack from Dark, which is not usually the case. Like, he doesn't typically do that much damage, but he did here, so that was not great. We're still holding our mass attack for Veers the first time around, just because I didn't think we would have enough oomph. But now I don't think we really get back to Veers next without having other characters hit Malik, so we just go ahead and rip the band-aid off there. Now Malik, okay, so we're at 3 stacks of Dark, but Malik has defense down and 6 stacks of Ferocity. I think we still are going to be able to kill him. And we do have 4 stacks of Emperor's Trap, so that's a little bit extra offense. I think this will probably do it. So it does end up being just enough. And this is actually still going to be, it looks like it was going to be very messy right now, because Darth Revan is still there, Talon's hiding, we can't get any assists off of him, regardless of what we do. So we just kind of teeter-totter our way into this. It's really the only thing we can do. Go ahead and use turn meter up with Dark. I mean, this is not super ideal. And we end up, instead of going for the basic, because I don't think the basic kills him, we go ahead and throw our mark back on Dark. That way not everyone gets feared. We go ahead and throw the protection up now, as you do. Finally have enough oomph to kill Darth Revan, and we actually finished with a 65. So for a match that took a lot of thought, we had to be a little careful with it. It was really cool to just see it do that. So this is fun. So this team has a lot of good Sith, but it's not a good team. Yeah, not that there are a lot of better ways to use these characters. Like Dooku and Maul ultimately don't really have a great home. But now we just get to because Bastila Shan is not with Darth Revan, Corrupted Battle Meditation actually does not stop debuffs. I'd actually forgotten that going into this, but even with that being the case, we just destroy them. So we're able to pretty much cleanse everything right off the bat. We're able to get everyone going, and now we take out Sith Trooper right away just so he doesn't blow us up when we do start killing the rest of his Sith buddies there. And there's nothing anyone can do from here. Once Bad Batch gets going and they start getting their kills, that's just going to be game. So we rip everyone apart, and yeah, full 65 again. We get to the back wall, and as we thought this is going to be an efficiency match, our opponent is not, didn't put a lot down. Like, he's got Mon Mothma and Iden. There was one other, I think JTR. That was the back wall. So nothing, you know, not garbage teams, but at the same time, not very good teams. So Iden didn't have any potency on her, or at least, I mean, she only had 80%, which 130% Wampa, not going to cut it. And we just go in here, and even without them not having Magma really makes Wampa very easy. We still just, you know, cut right through them as we should. We get Shore down when he didn't have the revive. We see that Death didn't have the revive here, so we went ahead and took advantage of that opportunity. And, you know, avoiding killing Iden because she doesn't go away. And then she just kind of dies from dots. Now we go ahead and take our own Iden team. Gear 12, we don't have them relict yet, which is why they don't really ever go on defense. And we just go ahead and get a free, spoiler alert, we go ahead and get a free 65 versus their fully relic Kyle Katarn team. So that felt really good, honestly. And this is typically how this battle goes. And for anyone who's watching this and has under-geared Iden, what you want to do is you want to prioritize Kyle Katarn and Cara Dune. The other two actually make this a lot easier because they're the ones that are feeding a massive amount of turn meter to our team. Other thing that I learned that chat kind of taught us this last round was, so Death Trooper has Death Mark, but actually his last ability there also terminates. It stops revive. So we could have totally used it on that turn and probably perma-killed Kyle. So we're getting, things are looking pretty good. Cara is now permanently dead. We probably could have killed Scout there permanently as well, or not permanently, but just ended the whole match. They do get Kyle Katarn back, which is a little annoying. But by this point, we've built up a fair amount of offense from Iden's lead that we should just be able to get through everyone. I think Death Trooper's Death Mark is also coming back, so even if, you know, the revives get really annoying, he eventually just dies. So there goes everyone, and it's a very easy 65 as always. It only took 2 minutes. So now we have to go back up top, and he still has Lord Vader sitting there with, you know, the cool Datacron and whatnot. No Maul on the team, so this is a fairly easy match. Just get to go in immediately. We get the text on the right characters. Kuru eats the fracture just like he should. We get the advantage going on Zombie. She's super slow, so they very likely are going to kill her. He does have the Datacron where he gets to have his cooldowns reduced every single time he gets, you know, 40 or whatever debuffs, or 10% chance to get every time he lands 4% or 4 debuffs or whatever. That Datacron, you all know what I'm talking about. Which really doesn't change a whole lot. Like, you'll see Daka will get at some moments a lot of, she'll get a lot of dots on her, but as slow as she is, SLKR always just ends up cleansing her sooner rather than later. It doesn't end up being that big of a deal. I mean, even Watt, I mean, the more dots you get, the more those dots turn into hots, or at least that's what CG calls them. So it's probably makes this counter just a little bit harder. I mean, it's hard to judge also without Maul there. I mean, the team is not, it's not the same before and after Maul, but we're doing all right for the most part. I think our Watt does probably eat it here. No, not now. Yeah, I mean, not a lot to say. We're just pretty much waiting for SLKR to build up his damage by swiping on Royal Guard, who's the stunned character, and we should just come in and slaughter them eventually. We do lose Watt. I'm not sure if Lord Vader had a Zaul, so I don't know if we could bring him back or not. But as you can see, we're not gonna exactly have time to do that this round. It's gonna be, yeah, Lord Vader isn't gonna last much longer. Now that we still have our continued stacking damage, we try to revive a Watt, but nothing happens. That could have just been because we missed the bad RNG chance, or it could have been that he legitimately died during Lord Vader's ult. He gets his next ult. Really not that big of a deal. Gets to use his AoE again. Daka's looking fine for the most part, and SLKR just wipes Lord Vader out. Low banner win, but honestly, that's just kind of how that goes. So now this one was a little sketchy. Our dash did go first, but knowing how JTR's kit works, that she gets a bunch of turn meter whenever everyone gets debuffed, so she gets to go immediately, and she kind of interrupts what I usually like to do here. Ideally, we would like to get a bunch of hits, generate turn meter, Kira goes next. Kira plays stagger. Then Vet Han goes, knocks the stagger down. Everyone is dazed, ability blocked, 0 turn meter, and then you just get to pick apart the team. Obviously, JTR corrected all that, or stopped all that. So now we have to kind of change plans. So instead of using the stagger here, we're actually just going to go all in on Finn. We're going to try to get him out, because once his cleanse is kind of gone, there's not a whole lot they can do. And of course, you know, he's dead. That's great for us. Now we just have to beat the rest of the team down. And the one really big kind of issue is called Nest, because the team we're taking in, I mean, we have two gear 12s. Vet Han is R3, L3 is R1. What I'm saying is we don't have a lot of damage here. So getting Nest down is going to actually be a rather big challenge. It's gonna take a minute. We have to play it very right. We have to make sure that every single turn before she takes it, she is stunned, because if she's not stunned, she's gonna get health steal back, because we don't have any healing immunity on this team. I think there might have been, like, if I knew that we were going to get to this point a little bit better, I wouldn't have taken in Vet Han. I think maybe Young Lando would have been okay. But Young Han would have actually been really good, because he has a lot of stacking damage that if he ever got the turn after Nest, he would have done a ton of damage. Now, we don't really have one high impact damage dealer, because Dash and most of his damage is from calling everyone to assist. And it's also, while it doesn't happen every time, it is really annoying to kind of see Vet Han drop Nest turn. Sometimes it actually was helpful, but sometimes it's just annoying. So, like I said, taking this very carefully. We do get the big hit to line up with Vandor on Nest turn, but again, it's not enough. It does take her down to the red, which is nice. I really want to make sure she's stunned coming into the next turn, because if she gets to heal, then that was all for naught. We do get another big hit on Nest, but we don't crit. We didn't have advantage, so it wasn't enough. So now I'm just really trying not to panic, but at the same time, kind of like, okay, we've probably only got one more shot to kill her. If it's not Vandor, this is probably just going to be a fail. So it does end up being Vandor. He did have advantage. We snipe out Nest and get the win on that one. That was a little closer than I would have liked to, but it was fun for a few reasons. But okay, so this Maul team, 367 speed Maul. I don't like it. I mean, I would much rather someone use Droidica and then you actually mod your Maul for offense, because, you know, he was 367 speed or whatever it was, and my Grievous 388, and that's all she wrote. Even with, I say this every time, I do need to make a video on this. We've got Gear 11 5-star Aura, 2 Gear 12 Bounty Hunters, and this is a pretty good Maul team, and they just rip it apart. We do try to take advantage of Zam being able to pop the thermals and then getting all the way back around to her other thermal special and kind of riding that train out with Bosk's Frenzy. Holding I was specifically trying to hold the cleanse for when they get the days out. I didn't want to really have to deal with that. We're able to kill Bam first, making sure he doesn't get any of his damage immunity shenanigans on us, which he doesn't, so that was really nice. They get the AoE days there, which would be a lot bigger of a problem if we weren't able to immediately cleanse it. We just go ahead and disintegrate armor for fun. And then, yeah, I mean, Bo-Katan ain't gonna do a whole lot. Very, very easy there. Nice 65. And now, so I'm really running low on teams with the monsters defense that we set, or at least monsters for me. This is kind of like my best team now. We're not actually the Jedi Raven team we use after this is also really funny. So we've got mostly Synth Empire with Geonosian Brute Alpha as our tank, as well as Gideon to, you know, just be Gideon and have his general plug and play viability go for him. So we're able to immediately get out Jango with Death Mark on him, which is really nice, because both Jango and Boba actually do a lot of nasty things when their opponent has a ton of debuffs. Like both the Execute and Jango's basic get a lot more offense. And so that was a little scary. I didn't really love the idea of using this counter, but it was really just kind of all we had. We do take out Fennec first just because she doesn't have a revive, and it was kind of easier to manage her. Everyone's feared right now, so we just go ahead and keep hitting L3. I really want Boba's turn to pass. I don't want to take off his fear right there, and then he just executes us. But as you can see, we're able to control him for the most part, get him down, get him dead. And then I mean, it's just Danger right now, so not a lot he's going to do. We totally wasted our fear there. That was very dumb, but, you know, obviously didn't cause the end for us. So now, we have to beat his Dash team, and we have Jedi Knight Revan, which is great, but I don't have another 5th Jedi that's very good. My next Jedi is like a Gear 11 Plo Koon, and while Plo Koon actually isn't terrible, what I didn't want to happen was for Savior to get procced on Plo Koon while everyone was dazed and his turn meter was useless. So we specifically took in Zaul, who, while he's not Jedi, he's Old Republic, and that still allows for a lot of the bonuses to go for Jedi Knight Revan lead, and he's also not going to absorb Savior from, one of my relict characters. So Zaul does his job. He tanks everything that he's supposed to, taunts at the right time. We get Dash out, and I mean, really, once Dash is gone, there's not a lot this team can do. We've crapped on him every single time, but like Dad Bubba was not going to do anything. Vet Han's not going to do much. IG and Queel, they'll be annoying. So we're typically I would never go for IG this quickly, but we got him so low so quickly that it just seemed like the right thing to do was to kill him. And you can see that I'm debating that pretty heavily. That's why it's taking me so long to actually choose who I want to hit here, because I know that Queel is the right choice, but this battle it just seems like I should probably do IG. We end up doing that, ends up paying off. Probably could have honestly just switched to Queel as well, and it would have been fine. But that's the route we chose. And Yoda just, one-shots everyone very casually, as he does. And I believe that is the end of the ground team. So now we're on to Fleet. And Fleet's okay. He's got Raddus, he's got the TIE Interceptor, and he's got Negotiator. So, decent, no Executor, so that was kind of worked out for us. We go ahead and take in our Malevolence versus his Empire. We use this every time. This would have been a heck of a lot better if TIE Pilot didn't dodge there, because now that he dodged, we didn't get to kill Bomber before things really got going. So that really was not great for us. That does hold this counter back a little bit. We don't end up getting Bomber out until Spy gets in, and Spy also marks TIE Fighter Pilot, which is the worst character he could have marked. He's going to dodge a bunch. He's just going to feed their enemy the enemy capital ship turn meter. I would much rather have just been able to, snipe out Vader or the Interceptor. Either of those would have been fine. But no, we get stuck behind the character that just keeps dodging everything. So we do eventually get him down. Again, not super great RNG for us here, but we're making it work. This kind of typically does pretty well. Go ahead and try to take out what's his face over there, because he's got the buzzes on him. They do annihilate my guy pretty quickly. We go ahead and take out Vader just because we can, and we're just hanging on by a limb here. Not really able to do a whole lot. We go ahead and take out him, and really this was dumb too. Gauntlet came in, and we should have been going after Interceptor, and for some reason we went after Gauntlet first. Don't do that. Like, it would have been much better to go after the Interceptor, and we didn't, because now this battle isn't getting any safer. I mean, we get to our ult, and I guess that probably saves us, but at the same time, like, this is way too close for comfort. Like, we win with one ship there. And now, we're gonna go ahead and take our Rebels versus Raddus. I mean, this is a very easy battle, even with crap Rebels. I mean, they just eat. I mean, the Raddus lives and dies on her entire team being constantly buffed, and every single turn, the Millennium Falcon is ripping off buffs. So even with his Star Fortress being maxed over there, I mean, she's dead before we even get our first reinforcement in. That's very, very helpful. And now we can constantly keep the buffs off of Millennium Falcon, so they're not dealing a bunch of damage on their big hit. Do use Shield Disruptor on Sarge. That was actually really cool. That did a whole lot for us. I like to bring in Phoenix just to take control of the field, unless we needed Cassian specifically to rip something off. In this case, we really didn't. It was fine. They're dazing a lot of my guys. Don't love that, but we end up getting in the rest of our Phoenix, and just slowly chip away at everyone. Not a whole lot the enemy fleet can do, especially when we're only destroying their ships and they're only losing ships. So 1 to 5, and what this does is this leaves a bunch of pressure for the last battle, which is Finalizer versus Negotiator. This is going to be the rough match. I've tried this more than once in GAC. I've been watching Bid Dynasty's tutorials. They're very good, but I just haven't got it to work for whatever reason, either misplays or bad RNG. Probably a little bit of both. But we watched it, and things start really well. We get this done on Anakin, and also he's in the margin that you want him in. He's just low enough that Negotiator's going to burn the revive before Jedi Anakin has actually used his revive, which is going to set us up for success here. So we do that. That's pretty much the self-explanatory part. We just basic here onto Y-Wing, just because it didn't really matter what we did. We're going to be able to ability block their Y-Wing and rip off the buff anyways. We go ahead and put their Jedi Anakin through the revive process, which is great. I don't want to give a turn quite yet to crew. I want to give it a minute. We're going to... I'm trying to remember what we do with Special Forces here. I think we just basic, because we're trying to buy time for Ebonhawk to come out. Ebonhawk basics Jedi Anakin to death, and this is really, really good. So now we have a target locked character we're able to gain a lot of buffs on. We're just going to try to go all in on Ahsoka as well and get her out, because really, once she's out, this team isn't going to have any damage for the rest of the battle. So even if we get to clean this up with our garbage, you know, Brawn team or whatever it is, we probably still have a good chance, because now, I mean, they've already lost 3 of their key ships. So this is looking really, really good. Even if Finalizer can't pull it off, which it honestly kind of looks like he will. I mean, Rex and Plo aren't exactly large damage dealers. We do eventually bring in the Echelon, and he does good. He does pretty good. Yeah, get out Plo, and then I mean, there's really nothing the Negotiator can do. The Negotiator is probably one of the best fleets in the game, but at the same time, his ultimate kind of sucks. But this, the crit immunity really does put us in a pickle there for a second. Takes him a little extra minute to get him down, but ultimately he's no match for the First Order. So that is going to be the end of that, and I can't actually show you the screen because, again, I'm recording this after the fact. But what did end up happening is our opponent, he went ahead and attacked our front wall, and he just dropped left and right. He dropped, I think, at least 2 battles on, 1 battle on Starkiller, 1 battle on Gas, and I think 3 or 4 on Maul. I don't know if he ever even attacked my back while I wasn't watching the game closely enough when that happened. But we did get the win, so we are 1-2 for this week, and that is really, really cool. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up for this one. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, stay awesome.